And we are back.
We are back, Bumblebees.
Episode 2 with Tyler from Different Church.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's have some fun. Let's have some crazy stuff. Let's talk about it.
What you doing over there?
There was something said, and then a lot of other things happened, and I was thinking about the weather in Tennessee, and now I'm like, no, it's gone. I love Tennessee.
Yeah, that's going to be home soon.
Yeah, we are outside of, we are in Nashville. But Nashville, nobody says, it's like one of those cities where like nobody lives in Nashville. You're like, everyone's like 15 or 20 minutes from Nashville, so you just say Nashville. We're like 15 minutes outside of Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Love it, love it, love it.
So at the end of episode 1, you hit Peaches with the fact that she has the gift of discernment. And I think that's a great place to pick back up, and I think that we should talk about that. So can we start with that?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the gifts and how we use them?
Yeah. One, if you don't know what your gift is, 2 things, because a lot of people don't know what my spiritual gift is. I think I just exist. What is my spiritual gift? There are 2 ways to find out. One, you can go online, spiritual gifts assessment, take it, right? That will kind of give you, a lot of times you already know what it is because people have told you what it is. And how do I find out what my gift is, what God has anointed me to do? What have people been asking you to do? That is usually what you're called to do. We want to do all these other things. I had this lady one time, she goes, Tyler, I want to preach. And I said, has anyone ever asked you to preach? And she said, no. I said, what do they ask you to do? She said, they always want me to cook. I'm tired of cooking. I said,
gotta let me cook.
But I said, are you good at cooking? And she's like, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I said, you know, it's crazy. When you cook them something, when you take them the food, what do you also take to them? You. What if the food is just the mechanism for you to begin to preach? The food is what breaks. I bring a cake, you're hurting after, you get married, you have a funeral, you're sick, whatever. Here, let me bring something I made for you and sit with you, right? And I think a lot of us go, well, my gift is this because I like this. That's not true.
Right.
I like playing basketball. I am not playing in the NBA. Like, I'm just not. Like, that's not my gift. People don't ask me every day, Tyler, will you come and play basketball and just let me watch? No one does that. They go, Tyler, this is what I'm struggling with. What's going, help me. And that's as I figured it out. But in the Bible, it's 1 Corinthians 12. It has a list of all the gifts the Holy Spirit gives. And that is Jesus' Spirit living inside of you. And he has empowered us all with a gift or 2 or 3, right? So the spiritual gifts assessment, you don't just have one. And I think a lot of us, we have all of them in different seasons. I'm able to discern when I need to discern. I'm able to see a spirit and I'm able to go, this is the season I need to walk into. This is not the season. Or what, like wisdom is a gift. You've been making dumb decisions your whole life, but somebody asks you something and just words start coming out of you and you're like, I wish I'd have listened to this a long time ago. That is the Spirit's wisdom. And I think you occupy, but there are some, usually 1 or 2 and if you take the spiritual gifts assessment, there are 1 or 2 that you'll score really high on. And it's like, that makes sense. Like that, I've kind of always been like that since I was a child. That's who God put you on this earth to be. And it's always used, and the word says it's always used to help other people, not hurt other people. And that's the problem that the church gets into. Everybody has a prophetic word over your life. Everyone will come up to you. I think you need to do this. And I think I preached it not too long ago. I said, you can't use the gifts of the Spirit unless you're in the Spirit. Like, do not come at me angry, mad, depressed, lonely, and speak a word into me. Talk to God before you talk to me. Like, spend some time in the prayer closet before you come and worry about my closet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, discernment is where you're able, and when I say you're able to see something, not with your eyes, right? Not with your eyes. It's that it's in your belly. The Spirit is in your belly. It's like that conscious, whatever somebody feels comfortable saying. That's the Holy Spirit. That's a Spirit. He's been speaking to you for a long time saying, do this, don't do this. And a lot of times the hardest part is to discern for yourself, going, this is what you need to do. And I think, and I know you guys talk about all the time, you help others before you help yourself. And the Spirit is not only given to help others, but like, hey, I am giving you power for today, for your season, for your situation. Oh, and you'll have someone else walking in a gift you need when you don't have it. So
Have any more questions about discernment? I know we talked about it a little bit off podcast, but
No, not really.
you want to talk about your notes?
I made 2.
Okay.
So before we turned the cameras back on, you said something about, like, that's one of the biggest things that gets canceled, the Bible.
Yeah.
And it is, like, the most translated, most mass-produced, most sold book.
Yeah.
People on the internet get canceled all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they get larger followers because of it,
Yeah.
because people go, oh, no fucking way that happened. Now I'm going to do some research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do the research and they recognize everything that everybody else has been saying is just gossip or their cognitive bias.
Or everything they've seen in movies and TV shows, everything they believed, every quote they've ever heard has been inspired by the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bro, every movie you've ever seen has a Christ-like figure in the movie. Like, this isn't new. Like, this has been doing every person, every wise word that's ever been spoken. I think it's in Ecclesiastes that nothing new is under the sun. Nothing new is happening. There are new ways things are being said, but it's the same heart, the same wisdom, the same not. Like, it comes from God. Nothing. There ain't nothing we ain't seen before. It may look different, but it's not. And I think people go, oh, that's where that song comes from. That love song came from. That movie, that show. Yes, it's the word. It's always been the word. That's why people get uncomfortable with it. They know, like, it's built inside. The word says even the rocks will cry out and worship. Like, even rocks know that there's something deeper. That there's something. Even the rocks know, and we know,
Yeah. So when you were talking about that, it made me think, like, people will go through a cancellation with Ariana Grande.
Oh,
Or they'll stand by Kanye West.
Oh, Lizzo, man, I don't even know what
Right.
happened.
I had to think about who you got.
Yeah, these are celebrities.
I know I know the names, but it took me a minute to realize who you guys were talking about.
No, they ride with it. They ride with it. Like, they
Right.
hashtag XYZ, right?
Yeah.
Like, I ride with this through the hard season. But nobody wants to do that.
It's just crazy to me because living my life by the word, my life is so peaceful. I feel good about myself. I am no longer, oh, I shouldn't have fucking done that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that word left my mouth. I can't believe I said that to that person. I can't believe I posted that photo. And all of it was, like, it all boiled down to no self-worth and needing constant validation. And I've turned my life around. I'm following the word of the Bible and God, and it's just wild that people will jump on. They might even have heard about Lizzo, but then they discover the Lizzo because they found the hate. Yeah. But they're like, oh wow, I like her music.
Right.
She can play the flute. Holy shit.
That's why I asked about his following.
Yeah, and then plus-sized body positivity. I just don't understand why people are so willing to look past the cancel culture towards celebrities because they happen to say one thing that they like. But with the Bible having multiple things derived throughout culture, people are like, no, I can't just because it's God.
What do you think of that? Because I actually have a thought too, but
Go ahead, baby.
I think that a lot of that comes down to we are being indoctrinated to hate faith, to hate God. Not all religions, just the Christian religion.
Right.
But I also think that there are a lot of people hurt people. So I think that there are a lot of people in life who may have had that super religious uncle or the crazy religious mom, and they were not able to connect, or they have some sort of trauma that has happened from that. And because of that one person's experience with this one person, they view everyone that has that faith that way. And because of what social media and movie and Hollywood is telling us about Christianity, we now have this cognitive bias that everyone that follows that faith is that way. And we know that that's not true because we see people. We all stumble. We've had one perfect person who's ever existed and we crucified him. So, like, that's why I think that's the case.
Okay. Well, you said something that triggered another thought.
Okay, run with it, babe.
So people get super pissed off at humanity because we're ruining the earth. Everything man touches, we ruin it. Why can't people have that same view on religion?
Because we're not taught to have that view on religion. We're taught to hate ourselves.
Right, but that's...
And taught to hate the God that made us.
Right. It's such well, I guess I'm just saying that for the viewers because that's such an easy... that you're literally just stepping over the line.
Yeah.
You are taking another step forward and going, okay, well, man has kind of deforested the earth and we have put plastic in the ocean. How can man have manipulated the word? And it's very blatantly obvious.
Oh, yeah. Dude, no doubt. I mean, that's... and I think I said earlier, like anything my hand touches, if it doesn't have the Holy Spirit backing it, wisdom behind it, a multitude of counselors, right? Some good people around me that I know are where I need to be, where I want to be, all of that, I'll mess it up. I'll mess it up every day of the week. And so it's what makes you think that's not going to happen with any other thing. But like, and I can't remember who told me this a long time ago, but it's like, if a man wrote the Bible, a man could do the Bible. Like because that's one of the things, oh man, it's da 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 da. It's like, can't nobody do what's in there.
Right.
Not one of us. Not one of us. All have fallen short of the glory. Like all of us have fallen short. But God, because he loves us so much, he loves us so much. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna die for you. I'm gonna show you what love really looks like. And then it goes, and now that you know what that feels like, I want you to do that for someone else. Because you felt that. I want you to love someone else. I want you to die for someone else. I want you to sacrifice for someone else. And that's whenever your faith becomes real, right? That's whenever you begin to walk into rooms, forgive people that you haven't talked to in years, and you know it's going to be weird, but you've got to let me release you right now. And they go, why are you doing that? This is a real thing. Like what's happening in me, I know you may not have seen this. I know you may not be comfortable with this. This is a real thing that's happening in me. So watch me cook. Watch this happen. Watch me do what God's called me to do. But yeah, of course it's going to get messed up. That's all I know how to do. That's all I know how to do is mess stuff up. Unless I follow, like y'all had a cooking person on. If I don't have a cookbook, I don't know what's going on.
Brought messing up the recipe with a cookbook.
It helps you. It helps you.
No, it tells me what to get and how to do it.
Yeah.
It still ain't right.
But
you know what makes it right? Practice. Practicing the right recipe over and over again. Because if I practice the right recipe with that one missing ingredient over and over and over again, I've practiced that recipe wrong, so I know how to make it wrong perfectly. I'm perfectly fucking that up.
Dude, every time. Why do you think when someone goes, Tyler, how do you know so much about relationships? I'm the worst at them. How you know so much about money? I suck with it.
I spend it.
I've messed up so much with it. That's why we have at the church, we have a bunch of young staff. And so like, it's so crazy. You know, they're 21, 22, 23, 24. I've been working in church almost as long as they've been out of middle school. Right. And so it's like, I always have a story or there's always something. And they'll say like, how do you do this? It's like, bro, I've messed up this many times. Learn from me. Like,
right.
You don't have to go down this path. I've messed it up 1,000,000 times. Let me help you from not messing it up 900 whatever,
right.
1,000 times. Let me help you. Let me share my experience with what happened. But, you know, but like I mean, and we talked about it off, like, it doesn't hurt me if you don't. But don't hurt me because I am trying and I am moving forward. But I mean, the word says that that'll happen. So they're just, when they hate on you, when you stand your ground on faith and people hate on you and they don't believe in you, they are literally making the Bible even more real because the word says that's going to happen.
Right.
It says it's going to happen. So but if you don't know the word, you'll get discouraged. But when you get the word, you start dancing, right? You start dancing.
How did that go? How did that go?
Listen, you're seeing the word come to life.
Right.
You're going, God spoke this thousands of years ago, and it's still working today. And I get excited.
Yeah.
Every hate comment, it's guaranteed. I mean, he even said, you'll be crucified for me. It gets worse than hate comments, like you said. It could be Paul.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
It could be Paul, right? It could be a lot worse. And so it's like, we can just get so discouraged so easy. And he's like, no, this cross is heavy that you're carrying, but the crown is worth it in the kingdom. But nobody wants to carry the cross. Nobody does. Nobody does. I just put Christian in my bio so my grandma thinks I'm not too bad. Right? That's it. And I don't post certain things. Or I've got my close friends, so only they know the demons I wrestle with, and everyone else thinks I'm an angel. And it's like, no. I know I'm struggling, but I'm going to run to the word. I'm going to not run for validation, anything like that. I'm not going to get discouraged when life gets hard. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop in my prayer closet. I'm going to get around some people that when I tell them what I'm struggling with, they're not going to talk about everyone else about what I'm struggling with. Get around some safe people. People, how many disciples did Jesus have? 12. Really, though, he had 3. The 12, he had 12 that followed him, but 3 he only allowed in the garden with him. When he was about to go get crucified, he goes into the garden. He says, Peter, James, John, come with me. There was a different level of intimacy with them. I just allow anyone in the garden with me. And not everyone's anointed for the garden. Not everyone's ready to cry tears of blood. Where Jesus sweat blood. Take this cup. I can't do this. And he comes back out, and what were they? They were sleeping. He said, y'all couldn't even stay awake. Not everyone belongs in the garden with you. You've got to find 3 or 4 people. Now, are you pouring into more? Jesus was doing miracles. He had 12, and he even empowered them. Perfect. But he didn't bring Judas into the garden with him. Because what happens right when he walks out? What happened?
Yeah.
Everyone shows up, and sane. Everything starts happening. He only asked 3. And I think that we'll get discouraged when we're trying to get everyone into the garden with us. Not everyone's anointed for it. Be stingy with who you do this fake faith walk with.
Let me ask you a question, kind of off topic, but on topic.
Hit it.
And you may not have an answer because not everybody does. Why, if that's the case, Peter, John, and James,
Yep.
why is the book of James only 6 pages?
Bro, short and sweet, baby. That'd be my message. That'd be my book.
Yeah?
That'd be my book.
There's a lot in that book, but seriously, you could read that.
James is my faith. If you are if you are starting your faith journey today, start in James. That is how you walk with Jesus. Someone will say, start in Genesis. Start in James. I don't need to know how to name animals. I need to know how to walk through the jungle of my life right now. James.
And he did it in 6 pages.
Control your tongue. What is it? James 3, control your tongue. James 1:7, the first thing he comes out with, consider it pure joy. James 1:7, I think it is. Consider it joy, my brethren, when you endure persecution, because you are going to be better. He says you'll build an endurance when you get done with the race, when you walk through the season. I like short and sweet, baby. I like short and sweet. He said, here's what I'm going to do with you. And I think that's what I love about the Bible. All the authors are so different.
Yeah.
If you read books, they sound so different. I think it's even more like how God uses unique people. James, super short. Paul, let me write to everybody.
Oh, man.
Right? He's like, you get a book, and you get a book. Just Oprah Winfrey, right? You get a book. And then you get to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Luke is a very historical book because he was a doctor.
Okay.
His was, and if you read it, it is a precise book. He's recounting. He had this closeness with Jesus. He shares every story. I think that's the thing, and I could be messing it up. Almost every parable is in the book of John, right? And it's like if you're questioning the faith, the book of John is where you go. Like if you're questioning the faith, read the book of John. If you're starting your faith, read the book of James. And all of them are so different. Mark is the shortest gospel. I wonder what. I don't know. Maybe he just got bored. I don't know. Or he was busy. I have no idea, right? But it doesn't. I love that the Bible leaves it up to question because God can't be questioned.
Right.
He's like, I don't need you. He doesn't need Tyler to co-sign what he did. And I like it more that I don't understand everything, because he doesn't need me to understand everything. He's just like, hey, love me and love the people around you. And we want to do the hard stuff. I want to do everything else. I don't want to do the easy stuff. He's like, I've only asked you to do a couple things. But I'm like, oh, no, God, I want to do this and this. And he's like, but have you read today? Have you prayed today? Have you walked to your neighbor and see if they need anything today? Have you served somebody today? Have you worshiped today? Have you told your story to someone today? Have you went to the supermarket and prayed for somebody today? Okay, that's 7 things. If I haven't done any of these things, I probably shouldn't worry about any of these things.
So no cruise ships?
Now, hey. Hey. I think we're on to something. The To Be Better ship. you go on there and you leave better, right?
Yeah.
And there's like church services in the morning, and then you go down the water slide and get baptized. That'd be crazy.
I said that but I said cannonball. You have to cannonball your
I've seen
baptism.
some videos of that, like
Yeah.
online, like kids like jumping in, just.
You're going to do it. You're going to go big or go home. What was your next one, babe?
Well, on the cruise ship idea, I don't think that's a good idea at all.
No?
Okay.
I would
There it
take
is. We don't
over
need nothing else.
I would take over the whole thing. I'd be having saxophone solos. I would be doing interpretive dance to Justin Timberlake. Like,
That's pretty spiritual.
Backstreet Boys would come on and it would be game over.
yeah. I'd be doing my own comedy shows.
Ooh.
And I would make it known my feelings would be hurt if people didn't show up.
Yeah.
So there'd
it
be
would
pressure.
No, you would have staff forcing people. It's a dictatorship.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
A dictatorship.
Cruise ship.
It
yeah.
is you're going to my show. You're going to watch everything, and you get to eat
Right.
after.
But that's the only mandatory part. All of the religious stuff is up to you.
Yeah. Watch me. Watch me.
No, I'm kidding. I couldn't do that. Maybe the saxophone thing is like a Christmas concert.
Yeah.
And maybe like trial and error.
It's
for the
working.
comedy
It's
show,
working.
right?
She
We all
actually
know
got
whiteboard and
she got people somebody got her to play the saxophone on one of our live streams. She actually got up and got her saxophone and played the saxophone on a
Did you
live
rip
stream.
it? Did you rip it?
I
Are you
don't
nice
think
with it? Are you nice with it?
so. I've played the saxophone. Oh gosh, for almost 20 years now. I'm old.
Can you sing?
Um,
Uh-oh.
I like to think
She
I
can play the saxophone.
Can you sing?
She doesn't take it serious. It's
I don't
always
take
a
it.
joke.
But if
It-
you're like, hey, let me get around a couple people that aren't gonna put their phones on the other side of the room. Let me just sing for you.
I would
You
have
think
to
you
face
could?
away from them.
You think you could though?
Yeah.
The next time we work like a worship song.
Oh wait. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh man. I am far more confident on the saxophone than I am with my voice, and I just sang this morning.
Yeah, you did. I walked in and I was like, are we kicking down doors today? Because she was getting it to Shania Twain in the bathroom.
That is spiritual. That's a worship song. I mean,
I didn't recognize that you guys didn't go out. And I'm sorry you had to hear that this morning,
he
Joe.
He wasn't in there. He had just left, but I could hear it from the living room.
Oh man, that's crazy.
It was fun.
no, it's good. That's good.
So the last thing I have written down. So before we turn on the cameras, you were like, even I have moments where I'm like, should I really be doing this thing? Like,
Yeah.
like God, are you really there? Yeah. So there, over my whole journey, but the last month or so, there's been a lot going on, and I'm losing relationships. People are leaving my life. And there was a moment the other day where I was sitting in my car and I was driving home, and I thought, I was like, I'm losing people for God. Like these were like super integral people in my life. Yeah. And I was like, there are people who kill their children and they do it in the name of God. Like, am I really on the right track right now? And that in itself is a lot to process. Overcoming that and still going, yes, like that faith is still there. Like if I go, God, well, you did everything like this and people are leaving and things are changing and I am changing and I'm uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't believe in you anymore. Those people have still left. I have still changed.
Yeah.
He's still all I got in the grand scheme of things.
When if that's all it took to lose them.
Right.
Did you ever have them?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Worded a little bit differently than I said it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
when you really think about it, like you watched me turn up at the club. You watched me throw that thing back on Instagram Live. You watched me do all the craziness. And I didn't lose you then. But the moment I said, I'm doing this, now you want to leave?
Yeah.
I never had you in the first place. I never had you in the first place.
It's crazy to see how things play out because there are people who will like lose a husband or they'll lose their wife and she'll go off with another person, or their children don't want to talk to them anymore, or a long-term best friend just totally backstabbed them and they found out for 10 years they've been just talking shit. And that's the moment they're like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to drink. I am not going to practice my faith anymore. And they give up everything.
I preached, I got canceled a few months ago. I poured shots of liquor while I was preaching. I got some Hennessy out, and I was, I had a shot glass out, and I'm preaching, and I said, being at rock bottom is not the problem. We'll all get there. It's where you run at rock bottom determines how long you stay at rock bottom. And the moment you go, let me run to this bottle, and the Bible's right here. For some reason, isn't it crazy? People drink and a Bible's always around. Like anytime I'd be turning up at someone's house and I was like in high school or something, like their grandma's Bible was like on a nightstand somewhere close. Or like you're at a hotel room, Gideon Bible just right there, right? Like the word's always around when you're messing around. I don't know, man. I'm just talking.
I'm just watching you.
But it's where you're at is not the problem. You're gonna get there. You're gonna be there again. You've been there before. You got out, but you'll stay there as long as you want to stay. Like, God is ready to help you on wings like eagles, it says in Isaiah. He will snatch you up. He will rescue you, but you will. I'm not the problem. What I did is not the problem. Let me pour this other shot, numb myself. Let me roll this up. Let me numb myself. Let me binge on my phone. Let me numb myself. Let me just watch Netflix and numb myself so I don't have to face, I got here. Now,
you really missed the mark by not going myself instead of how I got here. I'm just saying, you were on a roll with the myself thing. You really should have just
ADHD. I immediately like I did anything good. I run away from it. So
you were right there.
I know.
You were right
that's
there.
The preacher in me.
I want to add in eating to that.
Yeah.
Dude, there was a service not too long ago. I preached and I got into it was the Spirit, right? Because when you say things, when I preach things, I'll I'll say some like really vague things, mental health, marital health. But sometimes while you're going, the Spirit will say something like, it's not me because I don't know what you go through. And not too long ago, I like broke into tears because I said, there's not enough food on your plate to get you through what you're going through. And like I felt like just the Spirit of God come over me. And I felt like release in like somebody, because they'd been safe in the church. Because nothing else was their problem. The painkillers weren't the problem. The porn wasn't the problem. And eating, every church does it all the time, every Sunday. But that's where you run. That's the question. In your depression, where do you run? What is you come home, you have a bad day at work. Where do you run? And I would even say, if you run to your spouse before you run to the Holy Spirit, like you can put your spouse in a place that they're not called to be, and they'll fail you. I'll fail my wife 24/7. I'll say the wrong things to her. Do I run to prayer? When I wake up in the morning and I'm going to a job that I know I'm better than this. I just took this because I just needed something fast. And you turn on whatever your guilty pleasure, you turn on your depression playlist, you know you're about to disassociate for the next 30 minutes on the way to work. What if that 30 minutes was when God wanted to snatch you up and you could have turned on some praise music? What if that was in you, like, that's where you ran to? And that's how addictions start. It's you're running to something. You're going to something to get away from something else. And it can be anything. It can be healthy things. And we say it all the time, like, the devil can get you with good if it's not God. Like, you can get messed up in the good, not the God. Like, oh, let's take these pictures and make our family look cute. Like, that's good. It's not going to make y'all cute. Yeah, there are not enough photographers in your city to heal your marriage.
Right.
There's not enough backdrops. There's not enough contour to make you feel like the woman God called you to be. There's a moment where you have to sit down and you go, God, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing, but today I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to run to you over anything else. You've got to have that moment. But you'll run, like you said, food, anything. And that's where, let me just veg for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Turns into 2 hours.
And then your family's coming home and you're sneaking away.
Yeah.
You don't even know that you're doing it. How did I get here? You ever? It didn't used to be. I had control of it. I used to sneak about it. It's dangerous, man. And it's like that the whole time. God created you to run somewhere. In those moments, like that is a need that God created you to have. But He is the thing that fills it. And the moment you go, I see the need, I'm at rock bottom, I'm in my depression, I'm in my anxiety, I'm in my worry, struggling with finances, I'm going to do this. Living on the earth is going to create you to have struggle. But where you run in that. And that's how God turns everything together for good, Romans 8:28. That's how He does it. In those moments, you're going to run to me and the people around you are going to see you not turn up anymore when you've had a bad week. And they're going to go, because it reveals something in them, right? Like anytime. No one hates the person in second place.
Right.
They hate the person in first place.
Yeah.
No one hates. You don't know second place at anything. You don't remember second place at nothing. But everyone scrutinizes the one in first place because it reveals that they did something no one else did. So when you go, no, I'm not going to go out tonight. I'm going to stay home with my husband. I'm going to work on some stuff. I'm going to work with my wife. Rather than going out with the boys, I'm going to stay home and have hard conversations. And go, I haven't been the man you've asked me to be. I haven't been the woman you asked me to be. I haven't been the Christian I haven't prayed for you. The only hands I've laid on you were, let's work. Because I'm not okay being here. And the moment you say that, everyone's going to go, I don't do that. But the Bible says it's going to happen. It just makes it even more, to me, right? To me, I get excited when I get pushed back. Ooh, I start, we used to dance at church, like dance, jump, shout, all of it. Pentecostal.
So, do you have anything else before I push forward? You've said a lot today that is very relevant to what's going on in our lives behind the scenes right now. We have been under a lot of spiritual attack the last 3 weeks, and a lot of it has been in line with things that I have said to her, and a lot of it has been things that I think we both kind of needed to hear. So that was really good timing. But you said off camera that some of the biggest things that you have conversations with and some of the biggest content that you guys get is about relationship stuff.
Oh.
And being that this is the To Be Better podcast, and that's what our content is. You mentioned things that you see as red flags and things that you try to give people when they're having conversations about finding people and things like that. So let's start with, where do you think people should be meeting people at? Because we don't believe dating apps is the answer.
Yeah. Meet them where you want to be, not where you are.
Explain. Like, elaborate, please.
When I used to go to the club, I used to meet girls at the club. I didn't want to stay in the club. Like, the club was just an 18-year-old thing I did. But I'm really glad I didn't settle down with someone I met there.
Okay.
Neither of us wanted to be there, but we start going places that your future looks like. Start attending places. Start being present in places that, one, God's in. I'm a Christian. Hey, I'm a pastor. I got to do it. Got to do it, right? You've got to be and because as you're looking for somebody, because I think a lot of people just think the person just gets given to you. I think godly relationships are pursued. Like, a good relationship is pursued. Anything that's worthwhile, you fight for, you look for. You're looking in the window and going, man, I've got to reach this status to get this thing, right? If I got to make this much money to get this or to do this or whatever. And so a valuable relationship, it's like, I've got to learn how to pray. This woman needs someone that prays for her. I got to learn how to read. I got to learn how to talk sweet to people. I got to learn how to encourage. I got to learn how to XYZ. And as you spend time in those rooms looking for a person, you'll come to find out you became the person you wanted to become because you spent time where you wanted to be. And I think that we go, when I find this person, we're moving. We got it. No, you're not. No, you're not. Y'all guys found each other wherever it was that you did. And you guys never... And a lot of relationships are built on like filling a need today, not the vision for tomorrow, right? I know a lot of people that date literally only to split rent. But what happens when money issues aren't an issue anymore?
Right.
Y'all don't even like each other now. You liked each other when you could help each other. And it's like, I don't choose people because I need people. I choose people because I know where God has called me to be. And this person, we've been saying Adam and Eve a bunch. Eve was created to help Adam. I was created to help my wife. My wife was created to help me. And I don't think you should date unless you know where you're going, because there's no use. That's whenever you have a bunch of baggage and you've been dating around and you got you're tied to everybody in your city, just trying to figure out because you didn't know where you were going. Where I knew where I was going. Like, when God saved me and he began to speak to me and I began to like sit in my room and I knew where God had called me to be, what God had called me to do, I was like, okay, I know what I'm not good at. I know where I'm going. And so I would date a little bit. I was at the church. I would date a little bit and I had a rule. I'd go on 3 dates and we wouldn't do no holding hands, no hugging, no kissing, because I didn't want my physical, because I won't need something physically when we get married, right? That'll be accessible to me.
Right.
So I hope I only don't choose you because I want to have sex with you. And we say all the time, we don't make decisions because we're hungry or we're horny. We make decisions because this is where God's called me to be. Can you help me get there? And if you don't know where God's called you to be, you need to let me know because I'm also called to help you get there. But you'll just go, oh, you help me pay the rent. Let's do it.
Okay.
It's like, bro, that's miserable.
So we say all the time that you have to fix yourself before you get into a relationship because you're carrying baggage. So become the man that you believe you are supposed to be, or the man that you want to be before finding a woman, because as you said on episode 1, that if we are not ready for the blessing, God is not going to give it to us.
And you're going to mess it up if he gave it to you.
Right.
So he's not going to.
Right. Okay. So we've said that a lot over the last year. So you've just reaffirmed that.
But a lot of times we don't know how to become the man. I think a lot of times we can go, be the woman God called you, be the man you're supposed to be. And you're like, bro, I work construction. I make ends meet. I pay my bills. And Friday nights I go out with the boys. And it's like, okay, let's start getting around some people that you want to become like.
Right.
If I am the smartest person in the room,
You need to find a room.
I gotta find a new room. So when I call people, I don't call people that are, when me and my wife are going through something or there's a new season, I call somebody that's already been there.
Right.
We've been married for 11 years. Why am I going to call someone that's been married for 1 year? I'm going to call someone that's been married for 20 years, 30 years. And that causes me to get into rooms that I am the dumbest one in. And you'd be surprised at what happens, but it's uncomfortable being the dumbest one.
Right. And no one wants to be uncomfortable.
Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. And that's it. But we are to be better. That's what we do.
So, okay, so then now let's move into the next topic, which is red flags. So in the dating game right now, which is it's a disaster. We'll just call it what it is. It's a disaster. It is a dating pool that needs a whole lot of chemical balancing. What are
Needs Jesus.
it needs a lot. What do you think are the biggest red flags in dating right now with younger couples that are in high school and college that are trying to cement a foundation with somebody?
I mean, I think people want weddings, they don't want marriages.
Okay, they want the experience without the experience.
I want to hire the photographers.
Yeah.
Post the pictures.
I want to look good. I want to get my 200 likes. And I'll put up with you in the meantime. When we date somebody, when you date somebody, do not go, they are cute for this week, this month. When your grandma dies, are they going to be by her bedside with you, praying for you, walking with you, serving you? You have to have the vision of what's good and bad, right? Because it's not just, you're not just helping me accomplish my calling. You're helping me walk through the crap that I'm walking through right now. Can they do it? Can they pray for me? And nobody wants to, it's real, right? Like, and I think that's why our church is called Different Church. Like, we want to be who we are. I don't want to become anything somebody said, what I need to look like, what society says I need to look like. And I think that there's this idea of what a relationship is now. It's not rooted in the word. It's not any, it is just, this is what society looks like. Look like it. Get your likes, get your post, make your thing, spend $20,000 on your wedding, be in debt and be miserable for the next 3 years paying it off. But you had 100 people at it and they ate barbecue. But then now you're in financial stress because you're trying to impress other people. You guys were miserable and are still miserable because you got into too much debt just trying to impress people. And now you're behind impressing. And then you've lived your whole marriage for everyone else but y'all. My whole marriage is built on what other people think me and her look like, not who she thinks I look like and who I am. We look cute, man. I just want to look cute. And that's not, I think our biggest video ever, I said, it was like on Instagram, like a bunch of channels like posted and stuff. I said, dating's not for cute pictures and making memories. It's for tough conversations and ugly situations. Because I don't want to look cute with you today, because I want to have ugly conversations today so we can look cute in 80 years. But if we try to look cute here, we tie ourselves down. Now we're ugly 80 years from now. We're going, why did it happen? You never told me the addictions you were struggling with in private. You never told me the trauma. You never told me that there was abuse in your life, and that's why we're not intimate now. You never told me. You never told me. And now, because you didn't do it during your dating season, your marriage is struggling. And nowhere in the Bible is dating. Dating doesn't exist in the Bible.
Neither do boyfriend and girlfriends.
None of it. None of it.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Boom. It's almost like you, in your spirit, you knew.
Yep.
I think that was Ryan. I knew. And we dated for like 4 months, and we did the thing. We did it, but like I knew. She knew, like just knew. My grandma used to say, you know that you know that you know that you know. You know? That's it. No one wants to talk. Nobody wants to, and that plagues marriages. We don't talk. Especially in all through the Bible. And we think the Bible doesn't talk about relevant stuff. When it comes to sex, gotta talk. Communication is the greatest tool when it comes to sex. Communication is the greatest tool when it comes to money. Communication is the greatest tool about moving forward. Communication. Talk. But the enemy will go, no, that's awkward.
Yeah.
And the longer you're together, the more awkward it gets.
Right. Because people try to please each other. Or, well, I can't say that. They might not like what I have to say anymore.
Been 15 years.
Yeah.
Yep, been 15 years. But here's my need. Here's what. And if you married the right person, they'll listen to you and go, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not fulfilling your needs. I'm sorry.
We talk about that a lot too. We made a TikTok about that yesterday. That comes down to I made a TikTok, or we did on a live stream, had a conversation about the difference in the way that you compliment somebody. For a man to say you look good in that dress versus I like your dress, that is two very different statements. And as a man, I don't ever think about that.
Yeah,
I'm just complimenting your clothes. You put a connotation on that, not meaning the way that I meant it.
Yeah.
But hearing my wife tell me that over and over again, that is a sexualizing of the woman's body and not the dress that they're wearing. And I was like, well, if my cousin's wearing shorts, I'm like, the shorts look good on you. It doesn't mean that I want to grab his ass. Like,
right, but men's shorts and women's shorts are also very different things.
Right. So we've had this conversation a lot over the last year, and I understand her point of view. I still am used to talking the way that I talk. So when I compliment somebody now, I have to make the concerted effort to not be disrespectful to my woman by saying, you look good in that dress, or you look good in them shoes. I am not trying to over-sexualize or mess up my compliments, but my bigger concern in that is not what you're wearing. It's the way that I make this woman feel by the choice that I make when I speak. So for me to be deliberate in my actions and say the things that I know is going to affect her by saying you look good in that dress versus I like your dress or your hair looks nice, I'm making a choice to be disrespectful to her. So when we were talking a second ago, damn it, I just lost why we got on this topic.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, because when she says to me, I don't like it when you do that, I can say, well, I was just paying a compliment. I don't care. And then I continue doing that. I am not listening to what she says and go, wait a minute, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. That was my intention. You are my priority, not this person. And that comes down to basic communication. If she can't tell me that she feels disrespected when I compliment a woman's body in a dress and me go, you're right. If that's the way you feel, I won't do that anymore. That could be a simple conversation that could not be had because she could have brought something else to the forefront and me have reacted the way that I reacted previously in that analogy. And then she now doesn't feel comfortable telling me because she knows the way that I'm going to react. That breakdown in communication is everything. And if you can't talk to your partner, if you can't sit down and know that they are your helper and that you are supposed to serve each other and that you are a team, your marriage or your relationship will fail 100% of the time.
Yeah. And you can stay married and fail, right? Just because you stay married doesn't mean
it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah. And I think, because I know a lot of people that are lonely in marriage. Like, I'm lonely. I can be married for 40 years and I'm still lonely.
95% of marriages, dude.
And I think it comes down to you don't hear me. You don't. And I think that every aspect, when you begin to talk, every aspect of your relationship gets better. And and the Bible talks about sex and all these different things because that was created to create intimacy within a marriage. Okay. Like sex is what brings you close. But the moment we can't talk about that, the same thing God created to create intimacy begins to isolate because now you're fine. You roll over. I don't have what I felt like I needed to have. You've rolled over. I'm laying here. The very thing that God created for you guys to come together and love each other, create intimacy with each other, fulfill each other's needs. When I can't tell you that I'm not fulfilled, like this is it, this is what happens. Now you're in the same bed, totally different worlds. And then you wake up, you go to work. You wake up, you do your thing. You come back. How's your day? Good. You have sex again, same deal, roll over. Wedge and wedge and wedge and wedge. And the enemy goes perfect. Perfect. This is all because you didn't talk. All because you didn't talk. It came down to, am I comfortable enough with this person? And for men, break down that pride and go, what do you need from me? I am not the perfect human. I don't always do the dishes. I don't always do the laundry. I don't always do this. I don't always fulfill your sex. What do you need from me? Here I am. Tell me. Tell me. And women knowing this is what I need. Don't go, no, you're fine. Tell him. If it's bad for the first year, it's the guy's fault. If it's bad for year 5, 6, 7, and they've been asking, you've had opportunities to say, right. This is what you don't listen to me. You're always on your phone, or sexually, this is what I crave. And if we're not talking about it, I'm assuming I'm doing okay. No other thing do you put up with. If somebody wasn't doing you right at your work, you would go, hey, don't talk to me like that. Or you'd send an email. But for some reason in marriage, we just go,
yep,
this is fine. I'm fine. You know that little meme with the dog in the fire? This is fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. And then 30 years later, you wake up. Yeah. And you go, I don't even know who we are.
That's why we created the check-ins. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but we have a list on our website that you can download. It's free PDF. We've actually made videos on it too, but it started off as 3 questions. How are you doing? How is your mental health? And how am I doing as your husband?
Yeah.
And when it's evolved, I think there's 12 or 13 questions on there because as we've evolved the podcast, we've added stuff and people that have written in and be like, this would be a good question. And like, so it's been skewed quite a bit, but that gives you the ability to ask your person for a report card. Mm-hmm. And you can't ask somebody for feedback and then get mad that you got feedback.
No,
like, bro, like how give me that level 1 to 10 or am I A or am I F? And then be like, well, you're an F. Be like, no, that's bullshit. You asked for that.
But on the other end, when I give this to you, teach me.
Right.
Don't just go, you're bad. Because that's the easy thing. If you're helping me, go, you don't hear me. Don't just say that. Go, you don't hear me because on every Friday night you go here. Then when you come home, you're on this phone, you're on this device, or you do this, or you're not hearing me. I've asked you to do this 400 times. I've asked you to pick up the clothes in the bathroom, whatever it is, when you get to taking a shower. It's been too long. You don't hear me. But if you just say, you just don't hear me. I'm hearing you right now. And guys are dense, right? Like, walk, help me. I'm struggling. But in knowing, like, you don't have to articulate it well. You don't have to communicate it well. Just communicate it. Just talk. Just say, I'm not finding fulfillment. I'm not. And it's okay. And I think that the moment you say that, there will be a release. There will be a release. Because he'll probably say, or she'll probably say, me neither.
Right.
And then you get to almost start over. It's almost like, are we dating again? Like, we're giddy? Like, so what do you want to do? What do I want to do? Where do you want to go eat? What do you want to, like, what music do you want to listen to? You almost get giddy again. It's like my wife and I, anytime we do a road trip, for some reason, the Grease soundtrack has to play. Don't know why. But it's like, that is one of those things that, like, we used to listen to my music or she used to listen to her music and neither of us really care. And it's like, okay, this is something we can just like sing together, right? Like we could do I'm Danny, you're Sandy, we'll do the thing, right? But it's like, those are little moments that if you don't communicate those things, I'm putting on my music, or I'm putting on my music, and you just driving the road trip.
Does he actually do it?
Sandy, what are you talking about? I can get up there.
We don't do that in car rides. Our car rides are intimate time. We don't listen to the radio at all when we drive. Doesn't matter if we're on an 8-hour
You
trip.
have an audiobook on.
I don't listen to the
Only,
radio.
normally when the kids are in the car and everybody's sleeping. I very rarely will put an audiobook on.
I
will
never listen to the radio. Never do, unless we're driving hours and the girls have fallen asleep, like I'm preaching somewhere, and we're driving home, and I know she plugs it in. Or I put your picture away.
Oh my
You already know. Like, it's whatever the duet is, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever those are.
That's
Yep.
fun.
But like, it's those things, right? Like, I'll put my stuff on, or I'll put. Do you guys have stuff, or is it my stuff and her stuff?
Right.
And when we clash, like, create those things where like. But that comes with conversations.
Right.
Like, hey, I don't like listening to gangster rap all the time, Tyler. I don't like listening to Britney Spears all the time, Brian. Right? And so it's like, so what? I like Grease. Like, Grease is classic. Well, I'll sing the duet. Yeah, I'll sing the duet. Let's do it. And then it's like a 40-minute soundtrack. You spent 40 minutes just bonding over
Right.
smiling at each other, laughing at each other. And you'd be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Then do it. Then do it. See what happens. See what happens. Y'all just sit in your cars just like this anyways, fighting the whole time. I don't know, like but just talking. It doesn't have to be how I do it or how you do it. Just
Right.
how does she want to do it? How does he want to do it? You probably never asked.
I'm not singing Grease, babe.
Oh, I know.
You gotta find something though. There's something deep down,
Maybe.
like a
I
classic
don't know.
that you like. There's gotta be.
I sing to her all the time.
What's the go-to?
Blues Man by Hank Williams Jr.
Will we get copyrighted if he sang it?
No, I'm not singing for you. I sing for my wife.
I sing for anyone. Dude, this
I'm
this
not-
voice
I'm not a
is
guy
for
that
the
sings.
world.
Well,
it.
that explains why you're a preacher.
Yep.
I don't again, the car ride thing for us is intimate time. We have real conversations. Sometimes they're really stupid conversations. Sometimes they're very business conversations. Sometimes they're just life conversations. We do have some pretty dumb conversations sometimes, and they're so fun. I look forward to them more than any conversation that we have. She tells me all the time, "Thank you for loving me," after she says some really off the wall shit, and I'm like, it's so fun. My life is so serious all the time. I have employees that depend on me, and we have emails of people saying that they're wanting to kill themselves, and their divorce is over, and like their kids are being abused, and everything is so fucking serious all the time that when she says like, I can't even give you an example right now because of where our conversation is going, but she will just say some off the wall shit and we'll laugh, and it'll turn into a marathon for 45 minutes of us
I have
cracking.
an example.
Go.
We were driving into Tennessee, and I was like, the green is really greening up here in these trees.
No, the green does green though. Keep it real
She
with
said that shit, and I was like, "You're right." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Yeah, it was just looked fantastic. The green was doing its thing.
Green.
Man, let it cook.
That's funny. I was like, but I get it. Why do I understand that? But see, those moments are everything for us because that is the moment of reprieve that I need to just mentally reset my brain to go about
But
my
that's
day.
intimacy. That's
It is.
intimacy. And I think the devil's whole job is not to get you divorced. He's fine with you staying married. As long as you're not intimate.
Right.
He's fine with that. He's fine with you going to church. As long as you're not intimate. He wants to rob intimacy.
He's
Because
fine if you're
growth
having
is-
one night stands, but it's not intimate.
It's not intimate. He's fine with any of that. Dude, sing those Christian songs. Have that verse pop up on your phone. That's not intimate. Like, intimate is whenever it's like me and you and only me and you. No one else gets this part of me. This is it. This is it. And the enemy's whole job. And I think it says he looks for a foothold. The enemy's always looking for a foothold, meaning the door's almost shutting and he'll
Right.
slide right in and you'll go, oh, the door's shut. And you'll walk away and you left the door unlocked. And he sneaks in because of lack of intimacy. And intimacy is created by communication. Always has been. That's why prayer is such a thing. That is how you communicate your needs to God. Intimacy, every single time.
How often do you pray out loud? I mean, obviously it's your job, but when you're alone.
I did something, was it last year or 2 years ago? I read almost the whole Bible out loud because I always read it in my head, but I was like,
Right.
in my why don't I just either I read in the car or I was just like, in the beginning, God, whatever I normally would do, I just did it out loud. I pray out loud all the time. I don't know that I ever pray in my head. I've gotten to the point in my comfortability.
Right.
It'd be weird if I didn't. Like if like we could pray right now. Like there is nothing I love, and I don't have a plan. I just begin to, it's an overflow of either my thankfulness, I'm grieving, I'm struggling. It's my spirit coming out, right? That's all it is. I don't talk with my mind. Like, yeah, I form coherent sentences, but it's my spirit that's crying out to God going, the finances are too much. Like any dude, I think I'm most like at this point, I've never even thought about it until you've asked me this question. I love praying. I love it. Like there's no other thing that you could, there's no other place you can go. A journal, but someone could find it.
Right.
And you have a heavenly Father that hears it. And I think like the enemy can rob the intimacy. I'm uncomfortable doing it. And I'm not saying you have to read out loud or pray out loud or anything like that. You can pray in your head and all that. I think it's very easy to get distracted in your head.
Yeah, my mom actually, we had a big conversation about that.
Because and we say it, thinking and praying are not the same things.
Right.
Because when you think about your situation, you're trying to figure your way out of the situation. But when you pray about a situation, you're asking God to figure out the way out of the situation. But when you overthink, you'll underpray. But you'll think, because I'm here, I'm praying. That's why I think there's something about it coming out of here. You're saying it to someone that's not you. Here, right. You can go, you'll start praying, and then you'll be like, what do I want for lunch? And
that sidetrack happens hard.
And I have ADHD, all of that. When I say it out loud and I begin to pray out loud, it is a one track. It's really hard to think about something else and
talk about it.
Yeah, like it's really hard. It almost like isolates you and God alone.
Okay. You have a note. Do you want to do that?
No, you can go ahead and do your thing.
Okay. The praying thing, I only asked that because I am one of those people that get distracted. And ironically enough, like I wake up every night and I'm up for at least 45 minutes to 2 hours every single night. I wake up, I can't go back to sleep. And I spend that 45 minutes, 2 hours in prayer every night because she's in bed, kids are in bed, TV's off, it's dark in the bedroom. But I will get in there and I will start talking, and then I'll start thinking about what I got to do tomorrow, and then I'll be right back on track.
Do you do it out loud, or do you do it in your mind?
I do it in my mind. But it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I can literally be sitting in a dark room, and a few minutes into it, it's gone. I'm thinking about 5 other things, and I have to reel that back. And when I asked my mom about that, she said that she also prays out loud when she wants to be very deliberate, because it's the same thing. When you're in your head, you get sidetracked very easy about other things that are going on. And it could be something as simple as you see something that you need to do and just stop talking in your head because you're not actually actively doing something.
Have you ever written your prayers down?
No.
I haven't either.
I know a lot of people, and I did it years ago. Like a preacher came and he was like teaching us or something at a staff meeting, and he said, write a prayer down, a prayer request down, and put it like in a jar. And at the end of the year, open the jar and see how good God was to everything that you prayed for in that jar. Like write, like, this was what was on my mind. Let me write it down. God, I give this to you. Like, just write how you would pray. Lord, I'm struggling here. I need you to pull me out. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Susie. Will you make that happen, Lord? We love you. I thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Boom. Put it in a jar. Leave it alone. You gave it to him. Next day, oh yeah, let me write that one down. Let me write. And at the end of the year, open it up. I actually did it. I had an old Bible, and I actually wrote all of my prayers. I kind of, while I'm praying and I'm reading the word, I'd write a prayer like in my Bible and stuff. So like anytime I'd go to that page or whatever, I'd see an old prayer request or something like that. So could be something, and it helps you focus, kind of like journaling, but you're journaling to God. But then also making it a deliberate, next year I'm going to look at this and see how good God's been. Because it's very easy. And all through the Bible, it says, don't forget. Don't forget what God did. Don't forget what he brought that family to. Don't forget what he brought you through. He has been too good for you to forget.
And they do it constantly.
And that's all.
God, if you just help me get this job, I'll believe. God, if you just help me get through this bottle so I'll quit drinking, I'll believe.
Right, then they get the job, and the job is too stressful, and they can
right, and then they start drinking again. Exactly.
And he's like, don't forget what I did. Don't forget what I did. He's always been good. but you only know that because you can look back on it. Like, what are the odds through your whole childhood you ended up with some people that put you into church? And what are the odds that same faith, whether it was a lot, a little, whatever, something was planted 15, 20 years later, 30 years later, it wasn't, you knew where to go.
Yeah.
You knew where, God's always been there. Always been there. I can, it's very easy for me to forget the very thing I ask. A lot of times we complain about miracles that we have now. I complain about the wife I prayed for when I was single. I complain about the kids I prayed for when I didn't have kids. The job that, God, if you give me this job, now I'm like, God, give me a new job. He's like, bro, that was a miracle. What are you thinking? The word says, don't forget the goodness of God. Don't forget it. That's it.
What's that?
It says The Stand.
Oh, you going to talk about the show? Okay. Let me, I actually kind of want to do that too. I thought about it earlier.
Okay.
Before we get into that though, you touched on something just now and it triggered a thought for me and I almost interrupted you while saying it, but I wanted to wait. You had said that you're talking about all the things that you went through when you were little to get to somebody to plant that seed so that it could get to me to where I am. And then you hear people that go, God, why did you let me go through this? And you hear that all the time. All the time people want to throw shade. Like, how dare you let me go through these things? And then there's scripture that says, actually, I may be wrong on that. I actually think that this is something that they don't say in the Bible, but people attribute it to God anyways. But it says it'll never give you more than you can handle. Is that actually in the Bible?
No.
I didn't think so.
So, and it's true, but in reverse. He will give you more than you can handle so that you give it over to him to let him handle it.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's like, you're the strongest warrior. Like, you'll see that all the time. It's like, bro, I think I'm the weakest warrior. And if I'm going to be honest with you, and I need his help
Right.
all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. It's like David and Goliath. Like, we always think we're David conquering Goliath. If I'm going to be honest with you, I'm like the other soldiers that refuse to fight it. And I'm
Right.
just like, someone else do this. And Jesus is David slaying
Right.
Goliath.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
thank God you came through, bro. Because I didn't know what I was stressing.
Yeah. People are always quick to say that he'll never give you more than you can handle. And like,
That's a lot. Like,
right.
have you seen what I've been, like, if you've seen what I've been through, but if you saw how I made it through.
Right. So, and that's something that we've talked about on the podcast a lot too, because I was abused and I have a lot of psychological damage because of it. And, I actually believe that my mental illness stems from abuse as a child, but the things that I've gone through, literally everything that I've gone through has gotten me to the point that I am now to allow me to minister to people who need it. So and my mom constantly says that we have a ministry and I just don't, I get it. I understand where she's coming from. I just don't see that. You know what I mean? Cause I don't believe that's my calling. But we have people that are like, I went through the same thing that you did as a child and seeing you cry on camera, like open the floodgates.
Now I feel like I can.
Right. We get that so much. And I know that I was able to withstand those things, but it almost broke me in the process. Like there have been times where I've been sitting in the car.
So I never knew, because that's the thing. Why does God allow bad things?
Right.
Why does he allow bad things? The quick answer, I don't know. If I knew, everyone would be bowing down to me.
Right.
I am not God. I can only tell you what I've been through and what I've seen, why God allowed it. When I was 17 years old, I was in a car accident. I was leaving first day of high school. My little brother, it was his freshman year, and my best friend Damon was in the passenger seat. And I was driving. We were leaving school. I think we had a basketball game. And I hit a patch of gravel on the side of the road, just a small patch of gravel, 1-lane road. And I overcorrected, and I went head on with another lady. And my friend Damon died on impact, and my little brother was in critical condition, and then I got life-flighted to Vanderbilt Hospital. And the lady that I was in the car accident with, she was fine. I was driving. So I woke up like 3 or 4 days later, and immediately, like, if you've ever been through a traumatic, like where you wake up days later, the only thing you remember are really the people you were with when everything went black. And so I said, where's Damon and Zach? Like, where are they? And then, they told me Damon had passed away, but your brother Zach is going to be better. And he was in the children's unit. I was in the adult unit. And a day went by, another day went by, and I'm just trying to get better, asking how Zach is, and if you even know my childhood even more, you know, when you're in a single parent household, your sibling is, while they're working all night, it's you and him against the world. And I remember it was August 13th, but so 7 days later, I saw like all my family was in the room. And you know how like the room felt different? And you know, but you still have to ask the question. And I was like, you know, where's Zach? And they say he didn't make it. And I think the first thing I did, I just started pulling stuff out of there's no reason to live. Why live? Why live? Because I caused this much damage. And I have to live with this. Have to live with it. And for a little bit after I got better and stuff, I didn't know why God allowed that to happen. And I started going to church shortly after that. And then I gave my testimony for the first time. And I told my story. It wasn't good. I don't even know what I preached. I just said, guys, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm in tears. And I'm like, but I think Jesus is working in me. That's all I think. That's literally like my whole message. It's like, but I think Jesus is the way. And a boy comes up after service. And he goes, I lost my brother. He's like, I'm just so angry. And that was the moment I was like, God, this is why. This is why. Because I'll talk about it when no one else will. And I just never, for the longest, and it's so easy to go, why God, why God, why God, when you can say, why God, right? Let me look around and go, why did this happen? Who's watching me walk through this? Because somebody's watching me and they just haven't opened up yet. Let me be the one to cling to Jesus and then go, because of Jesus, guys, watch my life, watch what's happening. And then somebody goes, hey, I was abused as a child. And I've never felt someone I could talk to. That's why he made us different. That is literally, that's the whole, not the same. That's our shirt, not the same. That's why that's our brand. That's everything. I am not the same as you. And I'm not supposed to be the same as you. You're not supposed to be the same as anyone else. And the moment you do that, you rob what God put on this earth. The story, the suffering, the pain, the trauma. Romans 8:28, God turns everything together for good. And you'll go, I'm just going to hide it and just deal with it. But he allowed it because he knew there was something big. He knew and out of that, you already know, like, I felt like I heard the audible voice of God. It's the only time I've ever done that or felt that, like, I actually heard him. Crazy thing, like, bro, you already know, like, after you go through something, you see all these little things after it, like, just like the ripple effects, and you're like, oh my God, what were you doing? Let him cook, right? Like, what were you doing? And it's like, there's no way 13 years removed, there's no way God did not do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Got me out of the streets. That's a miracle in and of itself. Got me out the club. That's a miracle in and of itself. Got me to stop smoking, got me to stop drinking, got me to sit down with one wife and say, or one woman and go, this is my one, like, I'm committed, not running around. Got me? That should be a miracle enough. And I can keep on going. You know what I mean? And I can keep on going. But the moment you stop talking about that is the moment the enemy has your story.
Yeah.
The moment you get intimacy, right? Communication. The moment you stop talking about what you've been through, the enemy's got what you've been through. But the moment you go, I'm about to share something. I know this girl's going through this. I know this guy's going through this. It's uncomfortable. Might give you the ick for a second. Like, I got to bring up some old stuff. I've never told you this.
Yeah.
When I call you, I've never told you this. I don't know if this can be for you. Maybe I'm just talking. I'm sorry. But I was abused as a child. And it took me a long time to open up. If you ever need anything, give me a shout. We can just go get a burger. No weirdness, man. It was weird for me. I don't want it to be weird for you. Boom. And the enemy goes, dang, I lost another test. Dang, I lost some more trauma.
Yeah.
I lost it because you were brave enough to go, I know God's doing something. Let me just walk. Let me not be ashamed of it. Let me not be ashamed of what I've been through.
There's fear in trauma.
Well, that's what keeps you trapped longer than the actual trauma, like the actual moment itself. Whatever the experience. My wife and I both have been through serious stuff. You're scared. What will people think of me? Like my family, if they knew. It's somebody everyone loves in the family. If they knew. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Somebody else needs it. That might get a little heavy.
That fear will also keep you under thumb to a lot of things because you can't talk about it. All those things that happened, or what, how is it going to react if it gets brought up again? Like this could be the thing that makes this person in my family disown me, or that is a nasty thing. I had my best friend also died in a car accident.
I'm sorry, bro.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
His daughter. Nope.
Nah, dude. Someone needs it.
His daughter found me on Facebook like 3 months ago and just got married. But when he passed, that was one of those times that like I had been struggling with my faith. I had walked away from God at that point, and somebody had tried to, hit me with that. There's always a reason. And I was like, what's the reason? He's got a baby. And like, I threw so much shade at this person, and they were like, I don't know. And he was like, but maybe he was going to have a much harder life, or maybe his baby would have had a much harder life had he been involved in it. And like, they threw a whole lot of like, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about him. It's not about them. You don't know. And that's the point. Like, so you asking like, why would God do this? You don't know.
Is different for every,
Right.
I can only speak. Ask me how I've seen God move. I'll tell you how I've seen God move. I'll tell you my life is better. And my life's better because it happened. And they get to spend eternity in heaven.
Yeah. But it's so hard to see that in the moment, especially when you're angry over all of it.
Well, and I don't think I don't think you're a human, nor do I think God expects you to the moment. And yes, money's tight. Let me run to Jesus. But I've lost somebody. I found out someone's cheating on me. Like heavy stuff. The moment for you to go, look at God. Even Job, the whole book of Job is him suffering. The whole book until the very end. And people came to him, said, you must have done something. Did the Christian thing. What'd you do? Is it really that bad? Da, 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 whatever. And in the very end, he goes, I'm yours. Whatever happens, I'm fine sitting on this ash pile. I'm yours. I'm yours. And then God gave him back double everything he lost. And that's what I believe in my life. My daughters will see double the blessing I've seen in my life because I've been obedient with the hand I was, what the enemy threw at me. I have always run to Jesus. They have always seen me run to Jesus. I will continue to always run to Jesus. And then now, because I chose to do that, my grandchildren, not because I did it, but because their moms did it. And I broke generational curses. I broke them. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait till I'm old, until I'm in heaven. I'm just watching my daughters just leading the world, leading their families. Got a good husband that prays for them, that loves them way better than me. And happened because I decided. I did. I decided I was going to start praying. I was going to start reading. I was going to start worshiping. I was going to start clinging to Jesus. No one else is going to do it. I decided that. Can't wait. That's worth more than any money I make on this planet. I think you would say the same thing. Take all the followers. If I know my daughters are in a spiritual, healthy relationship, changing the world, loving my grandkids, living a life of peace, of joy, of happiness, take all the money I've got. Take it all. Take it all. So why can't I just give my prayers every morning, every evening? Why can't I lay down with them and just pray with them on their bed every single night? Why can't I read books with them? Why can't I take them with me to church? Why do I hit the snooze on Sunday mornings when I know I'll give them something I never had. I'll give them something I never had.
Don't look at me.
Why?
I can't do this right now. The kid thing gets me hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your, but it's your, the Bible calls them arrows that you send out into the world. He says a man that has a bunch of children is like a warrior with a lot of arrows, firing them out into the world. So while I got them, I'm going to sharpen them. I'm going to get them useful, and I'm going to shoot them out. I'm going to tell them they can do anything they can do. I'm going to tell, because they saw their dad do anything he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think that's, and I tell people all the time, how much money do I need to leave for my kids? How much retirement, all this stuff. That's cool. But did they ever see you do the thing God put you on this earth to do? Or did they see you constantly doing everything everyone else wanted to do just so you have a little nest egg at the end of it?
Why do you think that people ask that? I mean, I know why. Yeah. I mean, this is a rhetorical question because it says to be a good steward, and it says that you're supposed to leave generational wealth for your kids and to be a good steward of your money. But why do you think that they ask you that? Because not everyone can leave generational wealth. There are people who go that are thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that leave nothing behind but regret and sorrow.
Yeah.
So why is that their focus when their focus should be a legacy? Because your legacy doesn't necessarily mean business or money. It could be a memory of my great-grandfather.
No, and wealth is a very vague word, right? Okay. Wealth is a very vague word. Because really at the time, they would leave land. It was more land and things like that. Like the Lord's people, the Israelites had this type of blessing, right? Like it was a blessing that was handed down. And so you're kind of looking at that. We think immediately, we hear wealth, we go
money,
cha-ching.
Right.
They weren't talking about that. I mean, yes, was there probably gold and silver and all that? Of course. But the blessing that went down on this land, the prayer, all of that, right? But I think a lot of times we can very easily, we get caught up in the American dream in a sense of, and not the biblical dream. I'm going to leave generational wealth, but while I'm working towards that, I like that because I build it for myself, and I'll make sure I leave a little piece to the side for them.
Right.
So I'm good and they're good. And it's like, that's not, if I leave my daughter, I want to leave my daughters a name. I think, and we've talked about this, me and my wife have, I want them to be able to walk up to any person that I've done business with, preached for, whatever. They're down, they're having a bad season, they're struggling, and they go, "You're a Sturban girl?" And they go, "Yeah." And they're like, "Your dad always came through for us." Tell me what's more wealthy than that.
Right.
Tell me what's more wealth than that. You're out of college, can't find a job. Oh, my dad had these good friends and they have these churches and we can go do this or this or this, or he did this thing for this business or whatever. And they walk in and immediately, "Tyler Sturman's girl?" I want to leave that.
That's the legacy that I was referring to.
Oh, my. Because they'll spend the money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I've spent the money. I want to leave them something they can't spend. Because even if they wild and out, they're acting crazy. You know who didn't? Me. My name, I went to the grave with a name that I gave them, whether they act crazy or not. It's good.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we'll burn bridges, try to build something for our family. And when we don't do that and we burn the bridge, we left nothing. We left nothing.
Yeah, there's a lot of strength in a name. It's the only thing that we give our wives when we get married.
That's it. And some of them don't even take the name.
Right.
or put a hyphen in it.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. Please don't get me started on that. Can we talk about The Stand so that we can wrap this up, because we're an hour and 20 in?
We can wrap it up now if you want.
Having fun,
I
man.
want to talk about The Stand,
What's The Stand?
the TV show. It's a Stephen King book.
Okay.
They made 2 separate series about it, and we just binge watched the remake.
What's it about? Give me the cliff notes. I don't know.
There is a plague.
Okay.
They call it Captain Trips, and it ends up giving everybody flu-like symptoms, and then their neck swells, and it kills off 7.3 billion people. So there's a very small group of people left. There is a small group of people that has this woman they call Mother Abigail. She's speaking to people in their dreams, trying to get them to come to her because she's good and she's working for God. And then there's another one called Randall Flagg, who is recreates Vegas and gets people to come to Vegas, and
Making
he's
money out of the thing. Yeah.
he's more of, they don't call him the devil, and in the remake he refers to himself as Legion, as we are many.
Yeah.
But it's Stephen King's version of good versus evil, for whatever that's worth. I have a deep-seated dislike for that man, although I like some of his books.
Yeah.
Different discussion. But you wrote it down, so let's see what you were.
I don't remember what we were talking about specifically, but something in conversation was brought up, and it made me think about the scene in The Stand when they had the 2 people who were sent in to spy handcuffed to the bottom of the drained pool.
Okay, I actually thought about that earlier too. While he was talking.
Right, and like there were hundreds, maybe thousands of people all within this outside pavilion, and they're dressed up and it's sparkly and there's music and there's high energy and they're all getting hyped up to kill people.
Right. That whole thing was that they're not going to be afraid anymore. That's what broke that.
Right,
Because he was talking about fear. I think that's what made me think of that scene in the swimming pool. But I thought about that while he was talking.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I don't remember what it was that triggered it, but that makes me think about, like, we're already kind of at that point now because everyone is more willing to whip out their phones and record and share things and laugh about it. There's such a disconnect. And I think that there is a fear involved in all of that because if I step in, now I'm part of it.
Right.
If I step in, people are going to say something about me. If I step in, I might get hit.
Right. It's following the herd for your own safety.
Yeah.
It's comfort. There's I actually asked this in a live stream the other night, because in that book or in that show, I didn't actually read The Stand. I've watched both series of that though. They promote Mother Abigail as if she's God and doing God's work, and instead of actually giving grace to God, the people who are following her, they worship her.
Yeah.
And it's very apparent as somebody like, because of my faith, when I see this, I'm like, they're worshiping this woman. They're doing her bidding instead of doing God's bidding. Finding my faith and our podcast has made watching TV almost impossible for me. I cannot enjoy TV shows at all anymore. I have to turn my brain off to watch TV.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point.
Right. But it's destroyed, and I guess it's a good thing, but it's destroyed television. I watch YouTube and I watch documentaries now. That's it. I can't get enjoyment from anything because I see the hidden agendas and I see the messages being portrayed and I see I can't watch any type of children's shows. Like, we'll be watching a kid's show and I'll have to pause it and be like, you see why that happened? And she'll be like, yep. And then we have to have a discussion with the kids about what's going on because they are indoctrinating us through the things that we are ingesting, because we are ingesting it. Whether we're watching it or eating it, we are taking that in. And when it's subconscious, and like you said earlier, that door's not being closed because they got a foothold in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time with all that shit.
No, and
TV's difficult.
And we say all the time, society wants our children more than like the church wants our children.
Mm-hmm.
Like the church will invest in children when they can tithe.
Right.
Disney's been getting them. They pop out.
Yeah.
And I have to make it a point every day, multiple times a day, to sit down with my child. If you have kids, sit down with them, talk to them, get to know them. What are you interested in? Because like we don't do YouTube, like with the girls, we'll do YouTube as long as we're around.
Right.
Because ads, I have no idea. Shows can't watch, like we monitor it, not because we're this uber controlling person. I've worked really hard to get you to 9 years old and you still be sweet and innocent. I have kept you a child. And I don't want someone else. When I'm ready to have the conversation with you about XYZ, we'll have the conversation. But I'm not allowing anyone else to determine when that is. That's me, the Holy Spirit. When I pray for the kids, when are they going to be ready to have whatever the conversation is, right? Death. Insecurities, because my daughters are getting older, their bodies. And I'm like, I don't think we should talk about this. I still want you to just enjoy you and your toys and playing outside. I don't want them to choose, because there have been many movies we put on and we're like 1/3 of the way in. And I'm like, I know what they're trying, like, you're not going to play me watching a new movie. All right, here we go. Or we're going outside or whatever. Not because it's a bad conversation. Sometimes it's coming of age. It can be a lot of those movies from back in our day. We love those now because they hit us at a certain time when we were ready to hear the message and it wasn't a bad message. But they're not going to decide when my daughters grow up.
Right.
They're not going to decide when they grow. I'm going to decide. Because you're not praying for my daughters, I'm praying for my daughters. You're not paying for my daughters, my daughters are paying you, YouTuber.
Right.
Like, you're not going to do it. So I'm going to protect my daughters' innocence, their mindsets, their spirits, all of it. Because I don't have much I've been put on this earth to be responsible for. I'm not responsible for you. I'm your brother, and I'll pray for you. You need something, I'll show up for you. I'll pull up for you. But when I get to heaven, he's not going to go, how are you, Chris?
Right.
How was that? He's not going to do it. He's going to say, show me Salem and Asher.
Right. It's
How is your wife? How's your wife? How's Salem and Asher? Right. Those are my three. Not even my church, bro. Not even my church. That might make it somewhere. Right. The first three. And so I'm going, all right, this is my responsibility. Let me protect them.
It's crazy to me, excuse me. It's crazy to me that in all of that you had to say that it's not about being in control or being controlling. If you were giving your kid an organic, natural diet and you didn't let them eat fast food, processed food, cake, sugar, and all that bullshit, food-like products, nobody would ever say that you're controlling. They say that you were being a responsible parent and you were looking out for the health of your children. But when it comes to controlling what they're ingesting visually and what they're hearing, it's controlling. Because it goes against what they're trying to do to our family and what they're trying to do to our kids. I believe that. So you have a mom who's got a 380-pound 8-year-old that's fucking child abuse because they're not monitoring the things that they're eating and they're bending to the will of the child and giving them whatever they want. That's child abuse. So if you have an 8-year-old kid who's being fed all this bullshit and you're allowing it to happen because it's easier to give them a tablet than it is to parent your child, it's child abuse. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I believe that. Full chest. That is child abuse. So it's not controlling. You are not being present with your child. You are allowing things to come into their life that is going to hurt them. Therefore, by proxy, you are failing as a parent. It's not about control. That's not a controlling thing. Yes, you know what? Fuck it. It is control. I am going to control the health of my child. I'm going to control the things that they eat. I'm going to control the things that they see. Because at the end of the day, it is my job to protect them. And if I cannot protect my children, I am failing as a father. I'm failing as a man. Nope.
Yeah. I think in
nope.
A lot of times you can think, what am I not bringing in? Like, right? Like keeping stuff out. But am I actively putting them in good environments?
Right.
Just because it's my house doesn't mean it's a good environment. It could be a toxic, no TV, but this marriage you're watching is toxic.
Right.
It's just as bad. Go back to a church environment. Do they have, if they're always around school friends, I don't know how they were raised. Like, I don't know. I serve at the school. We fed every high schooler at a high school in Nashville on the first day of school. Everyone ate for free. We dropped like a $3,000 check. So everyone, I'm pro, be in school, be present in school, learn as much as you can, reach people there. That can't be the only influence. So let me go get involved in a church where my kids can be around other people that are growing, at least trying, right? I don't know at a school. I at least know if I'm at a gym, whether I think you're killing it or not, you're at least trying.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's at least a common goal. Like, we have a common mission on this earth. And so a lot of times we keep and not, okay, I've got you. Where am I taking you? Like, what are the core, most families don't have core values.
Right. Most people don't have core values. I have a men's group. Real shit. I have a men's group, and Steve and I have talked about this a lot because he's the first man that I've ever met in my life who has a determined set of core values. We've had a discussion because we both have them. Most people also don't have non-negotiables. They don't have a defined list, and words are communication, right? That's how we define everything. And if I say something and you don't understand it, but he does, you're at a disadvantage because we're now having a conversation about something you don't understand. So if you don't have those core values and you don't have your non-negotiables and you don't have these things up, you are at a disadvantage. And we don't teach those things. So when in my men's group, we have a form that we send out to people, and they have to fill that out. And all of that shit has to be laid out before we'll accept them into the men's group. Because if you don't have your core values and you don't know your non-negotiables, you are at a disadvantage to everybody else that's here, and all you're going to do is slow us down. So that's the first step of everything. So everyone should have that.
And that's like
Vision. Go ahead, say it.
A cute word, vision, right? Like having a vision. Where am I going? If I went, I'm going on vacation, and someone said, where? I don't know, we're just driving. You'd think I was the craziest person in the world. But you got married and didn't know where you were going. You got that job, didn't know where you were going. You had kids, didn't know where you were going. You didn't have an address. And that's, spend time with God, find the vision for your life, build around that. Then it never fails, then it never falls. And so like for us, like my life has always been different. That's why we named the church. That's why we have the brand, not the same, built different, all of that, right? I don't talk like everyone talks. I don't make jokes like everyone jokes. I don't cheat on my wife like everyone cheats. Like, I don't look at things like everyone looks. I don't watch things everybody watches. I'm different. I feel like God's put me on this earth to be different. So then when we have that vision and we go, we got to put the kids into school. Private school or public school?
Homeschool.
Ryan and I both went, our church will always go to the ugliest place possible. So for our vision, for where we're going, how we want to reach, we want to go into, we do the halfway houses, we do the prisons, we do the foster homes. We go places nobody wants to go. We go places churches don't want to go. They send them our way. So we went, why would we not put if our vision is this, I grew up in public school. She grew up in public school. There are people that are hurting in public school. Every other pastor's kid is in private school that pays $20,000 a month for tuition, or they're homeschooled. Where's the light here? Not saying that it's bad to be anywhere else. For our vision, just like yours may be different. Right. I love that. Y'all have y'all's vision. Go off. It's not either or, it's both and, right? And so it's like, I found there wasn't much light here. And I'm going to equip my daughters to be different in a place that's going to tell them to get in line.
Are you going to keep them school the whole way through, or are you going to pull them out at some point and homeschool them?
Oh, they play ball, man.
Oh, okay.
They love it. And one of my daughters is getting pretty good.
Okay.
And that could be a thing, right? That I think
is this a dad thing, or is this okay?
No, she loves it.
Okay.
Because you know how I know?
Ain't nothing wrong with bragging on your kids, bro.
No, let's go practice, Dad.
Okay. Why, so you can beat me? Like, is that what you're saying?
But that was because we have a vision, and here's what I love about life and where I'm at in my life. If somebody disagrees, I love it.
Right.
I hope you have a vision that you're following. If it's homeschool, I'm going to support you all because you have a vision. I'd rather you have a vision that's different than mine than not have a vision and just critique mine.
Right.
You've got yours. I've got mine. We're moving. We're brothers in this mug. Let's make it happen. Like, it's never been, I love vision, because then I can clearly know where I'm going, what I need to do, how I need to move. I don't want to be in a season. I don't want God to give me a miracle and I don't know what to do with it. Well, that's miserable.
Right.
And so we've chosen for our family, we want to go to the nastiest places possible. That's always been me. I preached in strip clubs.
Really?
Oh, dude, our vision video, if you were like to go on YouTube, different church on YouTube, one of our oldest videos, like one of our first videos, I guess you could go like oldest, I guess. I'm in a strip club and I'm preaching. No ladies are there. My wife was there, all of that. But because everyone wants to do the Starbucks spirituality.
It's easy when it's easy when it's easy.
Well, or you look like me. Our church doesn't look like me at all. It's as diverse as you could imagine. Age, color, marriages. It is not white, straight, male church. No chance. But that's who we've chosen. Like, that's who I feel like God's called me to do. And people go, don't bring those people in my church. That's cool. That's cool. They can come to mine. And your people may get uncomfortable in my church. And my people may get uncomfortable in your church. We're both reaching people.
Right.
We're both winning people to the kingdom. It's done. We're not fighting. Churches are gangs, bro. And it's crazy. Don't go to that church. They did this. They did this. Stop. I love anyone that is preaching Jesus. Even if I don't agree with everything, you're not going to agree with everything I do. I'm not going to agree with everything. Do you love Jesus? Are you helping people? I love you.
Right.
Let's do this. Whether it's my method or not, is the message the same? Different methods, same message. I'm cool with it. I don't get into the beefs. I don't do it. I love it. Like, there's no reason. I just want to enjoy life. I want my daughters to enjoy life. I want to enjoy it.
Right.
There are too many miserable Christians.
There's too many miserable people. I heard you clearing your throat. You got something?
No.
Let me clear
I'm
my
just getting
throat.
comfortable.
That's so funny. I used to love that song. I used to go listen to that shit at the skate rink.
Yeah.
That's so funny. You want to wrap it up? We're an hour and a half in. We've recorded almost 3 hours of content
That's
today.
your call.
We could do this all day long.
I know we could, and I could too, but we have 2 more episodes that we have to do after you leave.
Oh, we
Do
do
your
have
thing,
to do
guys.
that.
And I would like to eat again.
Go eat.
Okay.
With that being said, guys, remember you are the authors of your own life,
So grab a pen.
and we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.